One of the biggest killers in our modern society is heart disease. Lifestyle factors such as poor dietary choices, inactivity, and the stressful lives we lead are the major contributors. I'm going to share with you some of the healthy lifestyle choices and natural methods that can be used to help prevent, treat, and even reverse heart disease.
Let's take a closer look at the risk factors first. Most of these things are no surprises. Smoking, high cholesterol and other blood fats such as triglycerides, high blood pressure, being overweight, having high blood sugars or diabetes, an unhealthy diet, not getting enough exercise, drinking too much alcohol, and a number of psychosocial factors such as stress, mental illness, isolation, and addiction. One of the most amazing things I've ever learned about in the field of medicine is that the heart has its own mini brain called the intracardiac nervous system, or ICN. For many years, we have known that emotions such as love or fear, for example, leads to changes to our heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing. But we always thought that this was due to our nervous system responding in concert with the brain. However, research in the last 30 years have found that the heart has its own functional little brain. It has the following features. It contains several different types of neurons or nerve cells, neurotransmitters, supporting cells, and proteins similar to those found in our brain up top. It operates and processes information independently of our great brain or the rest of the nervous system. It has its own basic logic and thoughts. It can send messages to our head brain, including the higher center regions. The head brain understands our heart brain so definitively that it can obey those messages from the heart, influence our perceptions, mental clarity, creativity, decision making, and many other cognitive processes. The greater the coherence in the heart rhythm patterns, the more positive the effects. How does it communicate? The heart's brain has the most powerful and extensive electromagnetic field in the entire body, with the magnetic component being 500 times stronger than the head brain. This heart's electromagnetic field is so strong it can be detected a couple of meters away. It is through this means that the heart can communicate with the brain and indeed the rest of the body as well. It is so powerful that they have discovered that one person's heart can synchronize with another person's head brain. How amazing is this? Although I think I have always known that there was something very special about the heart, as all good literature has known long before science caught up. On that note, it gives a whole new meaning to a verse from the greatest piece of literature, the Bible. The Psalm of David takes on a whole new meaning. Psalm 51 verse 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. If you embark on a journey to clean up the health of your heart, adopt this verse and ask God for a clean heart, which will renew a right spirit within you. And Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, penned these words, which also have such a deeper meaning now that we understand the amazing complexity of the heart. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. So how important is it to value and look after your heart now that you know all this? Without further ado, let's look at our lifestyle and see what we can change to help prevent the development of the disease or its progression if you already have cardiovascular disease. Before we address any other factors in restoring your heart health, we need to address smoking. If there was one thing that I could change in the world of health, it would be to find a way to stop all smoking. It is one of the largest causes of poor health and death. It causes more than 20,000 deaths each year in Australia and more than 5 million deaths worldwide. Smoking cigarettes is exposing you to about 70 toxic carcinogens that cause more than 40 different types of cancer. Nicotine itself can also destabilize the heart rhythm, so that if you do have a heart attack and you are a smoker, you are more likely to die from a fatal heart rhythm complication. The carbon monoxide exposure from smoking causes damage to the lining of your arteries, making it easier for blockages to build up and forming the atherosclerosis that leads to heart attacks and strokes. The benefits to quitting are immense, and your body has an amazing way of recovering. Almost immediately, you improve your heart rate and blood pressure. Within a day, the levels of poisonous carbon monoxide in the blood drop to normal, preventing further damage to the lining of your arteries. Over the next few months, you improve the circulation throughout the body and your lung function increases. Over the next several months, the lungs continue to heal and the coughing and shortness of breath really decreases. At 1 year, your risk of heart disease is half that of someone that is still smoking. At 5 years, your risk of a variety of cancers, the mouth, the esophagus, the throat, and the bladder, for example, is halved, and your risk of stroke is that of a non-smoker. At 10 years, your risk of lung cancer is half that of a smoker. At 15 years, your risk of coronary artery disease is that of a non-smoker. The message: it's never too late to stop smoking. There are numerous aids now to help people to stop smoking. Speak to your local doctor about this, and it's always important to have some counselling to go with it, as this increases the success of your quitting efforts. While most of us would agree that a healthy lifestyle is fantastic at preventing cardiovascular disease and many other health problems, could we actually reverse cardiovascular disease? Absolutely, and we have strong science to back this one up. For decades now, Dr. Ornish, an American cardiologist and researcher, along with his team, have been studying the effects of lifestyle changes on cardiovascular disease, and more recently its effect on other health issues including cancer and dementia. He took a group of people who had proven coronary artery disease from actual angiogram evidence. Dr. Ornish then decided to put these people on a comprehensive lifestyle program. At the same time, there was another group called the control group that did not have such intervention, so there was a really good comparison. Let's look at what the lifestyle program was. The diet contained lots of whole grains, fruits, vegetables and legumes, but they avoided processed foods, animal products, and all forms of free oil. There was no caffeine and very limited alcohol. However, there was no calorie restriction at all. Stress management techniques were included 1 hour per day, and good emotional and social supports were provided. Finally, they exercised for half an hour each day. So what happened in the study? Not surprisingly, the group that had no lifestyle intervention had worsening heart disease with increasing blockages in their hearts. The group that was treated, even at 1 year, showed significant improvements already, with actual reversal of their blockages starting to show. As they were followed over the years, the untreated continued to worsen, but the treatment group went from strength to strength. Not only did the blockages continue to improve, there was a 300% improvement in the blood flow to the heart. They were reversing their heart disease. Let's break down some of these lifestyle measures a little more. This plant-based diet is the only one that has been shown to not only prevent, but also reverse heart disease. And we're going to take a look at some evidence. Now, we know that high blood sugar and diabetes is a major risk factor in cardiovascular disease. The Diabetes Prevention Program trial showed that a lacto-ovo-vegetarian diet, that is vegetarians who still eat eggs and dairy, reduced their risk of developing diabetes by 60%. However, going to a completely plant-based diet with no animal products led to an almost 80% drop in the risk of developing diabetes. In fact, this study demonstrated that lifestyle modifications were almost twice as effective as treatment with leading diabetic medication. What about blood pressure? Research has shown The more plant-based, the greater the drop in your blood pressure. Vegans on average have lower blood pressures than lacto-ovo-vegetarians, and meat eaters have the highest rates of elevated blood pressure and blood pressure medications. Even in the first 2 weeks of being on a whole food plant-based diet, blood pressure can show some significant improvements. Then there's the cholesterol and the bad blood fats that increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Does it improve those? Most definitely. Colin T. Campbell, author of the China Study book, compared the diet of those in rural China with those in the United States. The Americans had twice the fat, 10 times the meat consumption, and only 1/3 of the fiber compared to that of the Chinese diet. The cholesterol readings were almost 40% higher in the US compared to China. When they compared deaths from coronary artery disease, US men were more than 16 times and US women more than 5 times more likely to die from this disease. In many non-Western civilizations where the diets are plant-based and low in fat, coronary artery disease is almost non-existent. On average, a lacto-ovo-vegetarian will have a cholesterol almost 20% lower than that of a meat eater. But a vegan with a complete plant-based diet, the cholesterol will be more than 40% lower. We know that a whole food plant-based diet is usually rich in fiber, and high fiber has been shown to reduce cholesterol as effectively as the statin cholesterol medications. Another interesting fact related to cholesterol is that even if you remove all the fat from an animal product, whether it be meat or dairy, the animal proteins alone will increase your cholesterol. So this is another incentive to remove the animal products from your diet. The benefits of a whole food plant-based diet continue. Research has shown that the greater the proportion of plant-based foods consumed, the more likely you are to have a healthy body weight. Again, this will reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. There are special foods that may provide some extra cardiovascular benefits. The allium family, in particular onions and garlic, have been shown to help prevent atherosclerosis, reduce the blood fat levels overall, lower blood pressure, and help to thin the blood to keep it moving more freely. Nuts such as almonds, macadamia nuts, and Brazil nuts improve your blood fats and cholesterol. Globe artichoke has showed some promising results with regards to reducing bad LDL cholesterol and another bad fat, the triglycerides. Research has shown that the bergamot orange has some great effects in cardiovascular health. It helps to break down sugars and fats. It improves the circulation through the small blood vessels. It improves blood fat profiles, protects against fatty liver, and blocks cholesterol absorption in the gut. We all know the little rhyme, baked beans are good for the heart. The rest of that rhyme I will address in a minute. There is really good science to back up the benefits of legumes of all kinds. Legumes include black beans, butter beans, cannellini beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, peas, soybeans, red lentils, just to name a few. They are full of protein, fiber, folate, potassium, zinc, iron, and a whole host of antioxidants, while being naturally low in fat, salt, and they have no cholesterol. And for those of you who are time poor, these nutritious benefits are still all there in the tinned versions of these beans, so you don't have to go through the process of soaking and pressure cooking them yourselves. You can add them to so many dishes, soups, stews, pasta sauces, salads, or even make a dip from them. What are some of the benefits to our health? They are as good or better than cutting calories for slimming down. They help to improve the health of our gut. They lower the blood pressure and regulate sugar and insulin levels. They decrease the level of bad fats. And not only do they reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, but also cancer and depression. Now let's address the tail end of that rhyme, baked beans are good for the heart. It is a constant concern that people have with regard to using more beans and lentils in their diet. It causes wind. This is due to fermentation of the undigested sugars in the colon, which actually acts as a prebiotic there to feed the good bacteria and improve the colon health. But here are some solid scientific tips. The leading cause of excess wind in our diet is actually dairy products. So, the first tip is to reduce or remove the dairy from your diet first. The research also shows that if you have beans in your diet daily, most individuals have no symptoms. And in the ones that did, by the second or third week, about 70% of those individuals reported a significant decrease in the wind. So the second tip is to have them on a daily basis. The third tip is to stick to lentils, split peas, tofu or canned beans, as they are less wind producing. And finally, adding garlic also lessens the gas producing effect. Moving on, there are some special nutrients important to heart health. Magnesium. It's a mineral that is front and center in cardiovascular health and is deeply involved in blood pressure, blood fat, and blood sugar regulation. Some great food sources include your leafy greens, legumes, and whole grains. Omega-3 fatty acids have multiple benefits in the cardiovascular system. They decrease the blood pressure, lower the bad fats, the triglycerides, help to keep the blood thin and prevent blood clots, and reduce the risk of developing heart arrhythmias or abnormal heart rhythms. Healthy plant sources include flax or linseed, walnuts, and chia seeds. Before we move on to other aspects of our lifestyle and heart disease, let me address the fish oil fallacy. Taking all the best studies that have been done on fish oil and oily fish in the diet and collating all the data, here is the outcome. There was no protective benefits for heart attacks, sudden cardiac deaths, or stroke, and it did not prevent deaths from heart disease or other causes. Although omega-3 fats are good to include in your diet, there are certainly good plant sources so that you don't have to resort to fish oil. As part of the plan to prevent or restore your heart health, consider the no alcohol and no caffeine advice. There are a number of benefits to this. Caffeine does have some negative effects on the cardiovascular system made worse the more you have. It can raise your blood pressure and cause palpitations and extra heartbeats. It can make the blood vessels constrict in the body, heart, and the brain, and it can also make the blood vessels stiffer. It is linked to higher levels of cholesterol and increases your risk of having a heart attack, particularly if you have diabetes. So staying off caffeine will improve your blood pressure, cholesterol, and heart attack risk. The cardiovascular system is also adversely affected by alcohol. Even at the time of drinking, immediately both the heart rate and the blood pressure will increase. In the long term, this can lead to ongoing high blood pressure, increased heart rate, a weakening of the heart muscle, and irregular rhythms of the heart. Alcohol can also raise your levels of bad fats in the blood, particularly triglycerides. By taking the alcohol out of your diet, you will have further cardiovascular benefits by reducing your stroke and heart attack risk. Many people will say that there are types of antioxidants found particularly in red wine that provide benefits to our heart health. But by having a healthy plant-based diet, you are going to get a much better and safer source of antioxidants. If you're really keen to get the antioxidants found in red wine, then eat the red or dark grapes whole, or even some blueberries. Stress makes such a big contribution to many chronic diseases, and heart disease is no exception. Managing the stress is a vital part of restoring your health. Exercise is one of the key factors in preventing, treating, and reversing heart disease. Globally, and particularly in the Western cultures, there is an increasing trend towards eating more energy-dense foods and reducing the physical activity. This is leading to serious health consequences. Exercise alone will improve your blood fats, reduce your blood pressure, improve your blood sugars, improve the blood flow through your heart muscle, and help to prevent blood clots and abnormal heart rhythms. Overall, exercise reduces your risk of cardiovascular disease by 30%. In a meta-analysis, that is a large study that looked at nearly 340,000 people, it found that exercise is as good as medication in preventing coronary artery disease and prediabetes. How much exercise is enough? 3 to 5 hours per week seems to be the best window. If you exercise moderately, more than 150 minutes per week, research tells us that you will decrease your risk of heart attack by up to 55%. Try to include about 2/3 of that as good cardio huff and puff type of exercise, and about 1/3 as resistance training with some small weights, for example. Exercise is probably one of the hardest measures to start and to maintain. There are some ways to help with this. Do it with a family member, a friend, or in a group. This is great for the social aspect, makes it more enjoyable, and there is more accountability. Choose more than one type of exercise. I find that this particularly helps with weight loss as well as the boredom factor that can occur. Set realistic goals. If you are really unfit, then start with low impact and gentle exercise and gradually increase this. There are some great herbs that can be of assistance with regards to heart health. Hawthorn berry has a long tradition as a good heart herb, and it has some properties that help in a number of areas. It enhances blood flow through the coronary blood vessels and the contraction of the heart muscle. It protects the heart muscle from damage, helps with abnormal heart rhythms, and lowers blood pressure and cholesterol. Just take care as this can interact with some heart medications. The dose is 1 to 3 grams of the dried berries each day. Hibiscus tea is a great herb to use in heart health as well. It has been shown to be as effective as some of the blood pressure medications that we use, and as a bonus, it can even help with weight loss. The dose is 1 to 3 grams each day. Ginkgo biloba is a herb with some circulatory benefits, helping to improve blood flow in the heart blood vessels and potentially other blood vessels. It also provides protective benefits in the brain circulation as well. You would use tablet-based extracts of this rather than the whole herb, and just follow the dose guidance on the product you purchase. Olive leaf may help to lower blood pressure and blood fats. The dose is 1 to 3 grams of the dried leaves each day. So here is my healthy heart prescription for you. Always include God in your healthcare plan, and like David, ask God to create a clean heart and renew a right spirit within you. Adopt the whole food plant-based diet, which provides the best dietary means to not only prevent but also reverse your heart disease. Particularly include plenty of garlic, legumes, leafy greens, and a small handful of nuts such as walnuts, Brazil nuts, and macadamia nuts on a daily basis. Avoid the harmful effects of caffeine, alcohol, and smoking by removing these from your lifestyle habits. Manage your stress, always important in any chronic disease prevention and management. Get some regular exercise, at least half an hour each day. And finally, include some helpful herbs such as hibiscus and hawthorn berry. If you implement as many of these measures as you can into your lifestyle, you will significantly reduce your risk of developing heart disease. You'll be able to treat any existing symptoms and signs, and even potentially reverse the heart disease that you have developed. Remember, your health choices will change your life. Blessings to you and your health.